Stop. Just stop for a moment. Pause everything. Take a deep breath. I know you feel invisible, like your life doesn't matter, like you're not making a difference, like you could disappear and no one would notice. And maybe you've been thinking, what's the point? I'm not changing anything. I'm not helping anyone. My existence doesn't matter. But I need to tell you something that will shatter that belief. You'll never know most of the lives you've changed because the ripples you create go far beyond what you can see. Let me tell you what you've been feeling. You, you help when you can. You show up. You try to be kind. You do the small things that you hope might matter. But you don't see the results. You don't get the thank you. You don't witness the change. And so you start to believe it didn't matter, that your effort was wasted, that you're just here, taking up space, not contributing anything meaningful. And you look at other people who seem to be making real impact, people with platforms, people with recognition, with visible proof that their lives matter. And you think, I'm not like them. I'm not changing the world. I'm just existing. But that's not true, not even close. Let me tell you about the first day of college. I was 18 years old, fall of 2009, at the University of Texas at Austin. I walked into this massive auditorium inside the Jackson School of Geosciences, the building where students become geologists. The class was just being held there. Tiered seating, hundreds of freshmen filling the rows. I felt like a number, just another kid in a sea of faces. I sat in the front row, and then this professor walked in. Blue dress shirt, navy pants, MBA finance professor who also taught undergrads. He carried himself like, I don't even know how to describe it, like a mythical leader, the kind of big boss you hear about from your boss's boss. The course was called Your Global Money, and it was designed to teach us about the global financial system, how the world works, why it's set up the way it is. But this wasn't just theory. This was 2009, 1 year after the 2008 global financial collapse. And this professor, he was bringing a moral reckoning to a room full of naive 18-year-olds who were about to enter the real world that had just imploded. And the first thing he said, and I'll never forget this, he looked at all of us and he said, if you're easily offended, get over yourself. Everyone laughed nervously, but he wasn't joking. He was setting the expectation. He was saying, this is going to be an incredible journey. Sit tight. Prepare for the big downloads. I'm not here to sugarcoat reality. And I immediately knew there was something very different about this professor. It wasn't pedagogy. He wasn't a mere educator. He was someone put in my life to shape my vision, to awaken me to the reality and potential of my future. The way he spoke, the way he gestured, the way he looked at that auditorium full of freshmen. His voice was ardent, powerful, penetrated deep into my mind, my heart, my soul. He lived what he taught. He didn't just preach it. And over the years that followed in college, he became more than a professor. He became a mentor to me. I'd go to his office hours, quaint little office with shelves full of economics and finance books. And I remember I was so nervous the first time. I saw him as this mythical hero figure, a celebrity at the university. But I showed up and we talked. And one day when I needed a letter of recommendation for a grant to go teach English to children in the Peruvian highlands of Cusco, uh, I was terrified to ask him for the recommendation, but he said yes immediately. And that letter unlocked the whole world for me. We stayed in touch through college, far beyond. We'd message about major changes in global economics, financial markets, the broader direction of the world. My thirst for his wisdom and knowledge and perspective was always vast. And years later, I think I was already in my final year of college. He had already left UT to go teach at a different institution, Ohio State. And I stumbled across a TED talk he gave. I watched it on YouTube. And in that talk, he said something that changed how I measured my life. He said that accumulating money for the sake of it is wrong, that we should measure our lives based on how much utility we generate for the world, not how much money we make to buy stuff. And I realized this man wasn't just teaching me economics. He was serving as my moral compass, teaching me how to navigate the business world with integrity, how to stand up for what I truly believe, how to do it with confidence and conviction. He shaped my entire vision of what it means to live a meaningful life. But here's the thing, he didn't really know the full extent of what he was doing for me. Not then. I mean, I was one of hundreds of students in that auditorium. He probably wrote dozens of letters of recommendation over the years. Did he know he was part of my rite of passage? That he was the first authority figure I faced as I left my childhood home to build a new life in Austin and pursue a career? Did he know he was planting seeds that would grow into something far bigger than either of us could see? Here's what I realized years later. That professor was the stone thrown into the pond of my life. And I've been one of his ripples ever since. Because here's what happens with ripples, they don't stop when you can't see them anymore. Imagine standing at the edge of a still pond. You pick up a stone, you throw it into the water, and you see the splash. You see the first ripple spread out from where the stone landed. And you watch. The ripple moves outward, getting wider, getting fainter. And then at some point, you can't see it anymore. It fades into the distance. It disappears from view. And you think, that's it. That's all the stone did. One ripple, and then nothing. But here's what you don't see. The ripple doesn't stop when you can't see it anymore. It keeps going. It hits the shore. It disturbs a leaf floating on the surface. That leaf drifts to a different part of the pond. A bird lands on that leaf. The bird flies away and drops a seed in a new location. That seed grows into a tree. And none of that would have happened without your stone. But you'll never know because you only saw the first ripple. You only witnessed the splash. The rest happened beyond your sight, but it still happened. That professor threw a stone in my life in 2009, and the ripples are still spreading 15 plus years later. But here's what he didn't know back then. And here's what you need to understand about your own life. The ripples don't just spread outward. They create new ripples. And those ripples create more ripples. And it goes on, far beyond what any of us can see. Let me show you what I mean. I was probably 23, maybe 24 years old back in 2015, 2016. I was working for a financial services company, and they sent me to UT Austin back to campus to represent the company at a career fair. When I was there, this young lady, college student, came up to me. She was very kind, but I could immediately sense she was lost, uncertain, didn't know what direction to take her life in. And she asked for my business card, and then asked if we could go grab coffee, if I could give her some career advice. I said, absolutely. I really enjoy helping and mentoring others. So a couple weeks later, we met. I listened to her, and I shared what I'd learned about her vision of the world and the big impact she wanted to make, also contrasted by her deepest insecurities and self-limitations. And I told her, the world needs more people like you because you're different. The world doesn't need more normal, average people. It needs people who are outstanding and outspoken. You just need to find the courage to stand up for what you believe, and you need to do it. We stayed in touch over the months that followed. I check in, offer guidance, give her words of encouragement, advice. And then one day, a few years later, our paths coincided. We met for coffee, and she looked at me and she said, "Oh my God, Armando, you changed my life. You have no idea how much you helped me over the years with your words of encouragement and guidance. Seriously, thank you." I was a little confused, but she'd gotten into her top graduate school program at Harvard, and she was on a completely different 180 career path than she'd been on when we first met. I was honored, humbled to have helped her, but I didn't fully understand the impact that I was having on people just yet. And then years later, I was probably 29, working at a startup during the COVID years. We'd grown from 5 people to 200, from zero revenue to about 25 million. One of our main investors, very protective, discerning woman who had been a seasoned executive and now was very active in the venture capital community here in Austin, she asked me to do something I never expected. She asked me to mentor her son, to guide him as he entered college. And I was honored, but I also felt immense pressure because she trusted me. She took me seriously. So I started mentoring him, giving him advice, helping him explore potential paths ahead. And one night, after a long day at the office, she stopped by to give me a gift, also a handwritten letter, thanking me for helping inspire and motivate her son. I remember that night in the parking garage, I sat in my car and I realized I wasn't an amateur. People took me seriously. My words meant something, more than I was willing to admit to myself. And that's when it clicked. A lot of what I was sharing with them, with her son, with the young lady from the career fair, with all the people, the hundreds, the thousands of people who have come to me for guidance over the years, it was fundamentally inspired by the same zeal, the passion that my professor had imparted on me years back. There was a part of his voice I was hearing in mine. Everywhere I go, every conversation, every piece of guidance, I had become the ripple he created. And now I was creating ripples of my own. And here's the thing, I don't know where those ripples go. That young lady who went to graduate school at Harvard, I don't know everyone she's impacted since then. I don't know who she's mentored, who she's inspired, who she's helped. The investor's son, I don't know how he'll shape the world. I don't know who he'll become, who he'll influence. My professor, I don't think he knows the full extent either. We're friends now. We meet up for coffee. We text regularly. We're on a first name basis. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we met at the New Coffee on the east side of Austin. I was struggling with a gout flare up. I could barely walk, but I didn't want to miss catching up with him. And we talked for a few hours. He gave me health advice, reminded me I needed to stop being so stressed all the time, which is very hard for a workaholic like me. But I sat there and I realized the first time I ever saw this man, I was 18 years old in a vast auditorium full of naive freshmen. And now here I was, 34 years old, having my umpteenth one-on-one coffee chat with him. Life had changed. The world had changed. And we were now friends. Of course, I've told him over the years how much of an impact he's had on me, how much he shaped my life. But does he know the full extent? Does he know about the girl who went to Harvard, about the investor's son, about the countless people I've mentored and guided who've gone on to mentor and guide and inspire countless others? Does he know about the ripples of the ripples of the ripples? No, he doesn't. He can't. because the ripples go far beyond what any of us can see. So let me tell you what's actually happening right now. Right now, someone is thinking about something kind you said, and it's helping them. Right now, someone is remembering a unique moment with you, and it's giving them strength. Right now, someone is grateful you exist, even if they've never told you. Right now, someone you don't remember, probably a random stranger from the world you encountered on the street, is thinking about that one time you held the door open for them, that one time you gave them your open seat on the bus or train, when you helped them find their way somewhere, when you gave them some money to eat, or even the moment when you just smiled and said, "Good morning." Even if you don't remember that exact moment, it's something they will never forget because it changed something in them. And you don't need to see it for it to be true. You don't need to measure it for it to matter. You don't need proof for your life to have profound, lasting, rippling impact. And here's what you need to understand: the biggest ripples often come from the smallest stones. The grand gestures, they get attention, but the quiet moments of kindness, patience, presence, those are the ones that change people's lives forever. The teacher who believes in the kid no one else saw, that kid becomes someone who believes in others. The friend who listened when no one else would, that person learns to listen to others the same way. The mentor who said the world needs more people like you, that person goes on to tell someone else the same thing. That's the ripple. And you've been creating it your entire life. You just haven't been able to see it. But it's there. It's always been there. You are the stone, and the pond is still rippling long after you've looked away. So here's what I need you to do: stop measuring your worth by what you can see. Stop waiting for proof that you matter. Stop believing that unless you witness the impact, it doesn't exist. You are the stone, and the ripples are spreading right now. So keep being kind, keep showing up, keep doing the small things that feel insignificant. Not because you'll see the results, not because you'll get the recognition, not because you'll ever know the full extent of your impact, but because the ripples are real and they're changing lives you'll never meet. And if you need to believe this, if you need to trust the invisible impact, leave a comment down below. Just type, "My ripples are still spreading." Say it out loud. Because when you stop needing to see the proof and you start trusting the ripple, you realize your life has always mattered more than you could possibly see. You'll never know most of the lives you've changed. You'll never see most of the ripples you've created. But they're there. They've always been there, spreading outward, touching lives, changing the world in ways you'll never witness. You are the stone, and the pond is still rippling long after you've looked away. So trust the ripple because life matters more than you'll ever know.